report is the CMA Phase 2 Management. The documents for that report are in your packet. I would refer you to the email dated January 11th, 2024 at 8:57 a.m. from Joe Giovinto. He attaches the minutes, and he says only one item of major significance to report from the construction progress meeting today. The start off of MBR number 3 and 4 units was originally planned for February, but were pushed back to mid-April. The MBR manufacturer indicated that the startup of these units is preferred in the spring. He goes on to add that this will not impact the project completion. The meeting was canceled again, and the minutes of the meeting are attached to the report for your review. Again, there's just nothing major to report, but we continue the hearing that we had in Allegheny County concerning the city of Clairton's attempt to appoint a member, an individual and taxpayer from Jefferson Borough to the authority board. There's a summary from me dated Friday, December 29th in the packet where I attended motions court. When I attended motions court before Judge Klein, he scheduled the matter for a hearing for January 8th or 9th, I believe. We've also included in the packet copies of the pleadings, and more importantly, there's included in the packet a detailed report from my partner Jana Grimm, who attended the hearing because I was out of town. As you can see from her report, initially the judge seemed inclined to grant the motion, and the municipal authority's attorney and my partner Jana Grimm persisted, and by the end of the hearing they had persuaded the judgment to rethink the issue. And at the conclusion of the hearing, you can see there's an order of court dated January 8th where the motion, the emergency motion, was denied, and more importantly, the appointment of Ms. Rusito was vacated. But that was all without prejudice, so that the matter can continue if the city of Clairton decides to file an answer to the complaint that the Clairton Municipal Authority filed and pursue discovery. Nothing has developed since January 8th, and I'm guessing that their solicitor probably will not do the work required to bring this to a formal hearing, because quite frankly, when a judge rules against you at a preliminary injunction hearing of this nature, it's highly unlikely he's going to change his mind following the full hearing. So I think the matter is concluded, and but keep in mind, Ms. Rusito could do an end around the entire process by opening a business in the city of Clairton and somehow becoming a taxpayer and eligible. But for now, she is ineligible, and the appointees must be taxpayers or owners of property in the city of Clairton. Yes,
I vaguely remember seeing something this past week. I think she was running in the primary for
Senate.
Senate?
State Senate?
Yep.
State Senate.
I think she'd be stupid. She's running for Senate.
Senate.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I saw something.
No, I know.
She is. No, she is, definitely. I saw her schmeal.
Really?
And I don't think she should continue this mess.
Yeah, so it's interesting that her own municipality opposed her appointment, opposed it on the basis of the home rule charter, whereas the Clairton Municipal Authority, South Park, and of course PCSA through our offices opposed it not only on the home rule charter, but also under the basis that the Municipal Authorities Act did not permit the appointment. The judge seemed to buy both arguments. So I think that matter for now, despite the the fast track that it occurred, was you're going to find it's over. Any questions concerning that hearing?
Your notes, you mentioned something about, I seen in one of these papers here, about the fact that maybe PSA and Jefferson and South Park would all have a representative on that board? Is that something you
Well,
can go forward or not?
In my notes to Darren Gabriel, I made an inquiry to him as to whether or not the city would be interested in amending their home rule charter and the bylaws of the authority to allow us all to have representation on the board. And he, of course, did not get back to me, and because that issue was visited several years ago in the Allegheny County litigation, and he had no interest, because that would take control away from the mayor. But I also ran that by Rick and Tanya, and the question would be, do we have an interest at this stage of the proceeding, in light of the debt that they've incurred for this new facility, to have representation on the board? I mean, that would be something we'd all have to discuss, and you'd have to give me direction. But the bottom line is, for us to have representation on that board, there would have to be amendment of the home rule charter and the bylaws of the authority, and I don't see that, any interest in that, you know. I don't know if CMA even has an interest in that. I did not approach their solicitor yet.
I just look, as we have such a huge financial stake in the Clairton Sewer Authority. Jefferson does, South Park,
Mhm.
but technically, we have no power to say anything what they do with that gas. So like you were saying, one of the concerns was this other representative from Jefferson was gonna be on the board, and there was talks that they may want to sell the sewerage authority.
That's
So
right.
if they wanted to sell the sewerage authority to Pennsylvania American Water and make everybody's rates double, we would have no say-so or no choice, even though half the sewerage authority is paid by us.
Well, I mean, that's not completely true. Prior to your appointment, we had the litigation in Allegheny County that involved a total, we filed the pleading where they were not keeping us informed on the finances, they weren't paying us our refunds, and we brought to the attention of the board the wastewater treatment agreement and all the parameters of that agreement. And we basically showed them that if they tried to sell this authority, that they were in for a long fight with us. We even went to DEP and visited with them personally, and DEP essentially told us that they would not approve the sale of the authority unless the member municipalities went along with it. So we stopped that process, and the wastewater treatment agreement, which has been in existence since the 80s, is a pretty comprehensive document. So we do have some rights, and we do have some implicit rights. So I don't think we're powerless, but during that proceeding, I tried in the settlement to get us all some type of voice on the board. What I had proposed was a 7-man board with, an 8-man board with 5 appointees from the city of Clairton and 1 from each of the member municipalities, and it got shot down. I mean, and the judge was in favor of it, but he couldn't force it because of the home rule. And I even, when I went in front of Judge Klein, I said, Your Honor, I find it very interesting. Darren Gabriel, a few years ago, argued that the home rule charter prevented an appointment of somebody from one of the member municipalities, upstream municipalities, and here he is today arguing that it does not. I said, which is truthful here? Which is the fact? And at the end of the day, that argument again prevailed. Any other questions?
Very complicated, because we would not be appointing that board member. So it'd have to rotate amongst our 4 municipalities or something.
Well, what I was proposing was oh, I see what you're saying, from
Yeah,
PCSA.
The Authority
municipalities.
Act isn't,
Well,
we can't appoint anybody to anything. We are appointed.
the way I envision it is that this board would appoint
Might
somebody
be
paying the debt service for years, and if they sell this darn plant and you allow it, we want a piece of the pie to pay us back for our debt service, which is 28% or whatever our percentage is under the wastewater treatment agreement. Any other questions? Good.